I'm Mike the Movie Man, and today I have a mega movie plan. Today, we're back with another mega video for you all. This is our mega post-game show for Top Gun Maverick. Yes, we all just saw the movie together for the bachelor party. Of course, you guys know how I do my bachelor parties. We don't go to clubs, nothing like that. We go to the movies. So, we got our panel here. You guys know me. I'm Mega Mike the Movie Man. So, we'll go ahead and start right here.
Brad.
Hector.
Andrew.
Perfect. And so, yes, we're going to go over 10 questions here. Yeah, the usual. Basically, kind of just going through our thoughts on the movie, answering these questions, basically having a little review in there as we go through these questions. But let's get into our first question right away. We're going to talk about what did we think of the first Top Gun movie. Now, most people on this panel have seen the first Top Gun movie. Brad's the only one that hasn't, so we'll go with our thoughts here first. I really like the first Top Gun movie. You guys know I think it's great, 80s, cheesy fun. It just has so many funny moments and iconic scenes in there. You name it. The piano scene, the volleyball scene, just so much random things thrown in there. You get a great score, but then you go into some rock and roll music that's just kind of out of nowhere. So really fun characters in there. But let me go ahead and pass it over to Hector. What did you think of the first Top Gun movie?
It's been a long time since I've watched it, but I am like a huge fan of it. I feel like it was a lot, comparatively, it's like a lot less action centric than maybe this new one is, but I am a big fan of it and Tom Cruise in general. So
Perfect. Andrew, what did you think of that first one?
Yeah, I mean, again, solid 80s style movie. Getting into a lot of that unique military flavor. Just kind of going into a lot of variable elements, just kind of fun action, just Top Gun speed, just high flying Mach 5, like whatever you would call it. Fun, and yeah, I mean, ultimately, just a very solid film.
Yeah, really good, really enjoyable. So this leads us into our second question here. And we have, what are some of our favorite characters from the first Top Gun movie? To me, right away, when you think Top Gun, you think Tom Cruise's character, Maverick. He's awesome in it. I like how he's just kind of dealing with some issues from, like, his trying to live up to something. That's why he's a little bit reckless. He's always trying to prove himself. But then you get a lot of other great characters in there. You get Ice, played by Val Kilmer, who's just amazing. And then, of course, Goose is just the heart of the movie and really just pulls on your heartstrings. Hector, what are some of your favorite characters out of the movie?
to me, it's Iceman for sure. He's like,
Oh, yeah.
like I really like the cocky, like not villain per se, but like the rival character.
Oh, he does that so good. Just
So
a
I
rival.
thought like that was, and Val Kilmer's like a great actor to me, like one of my favorites, and Goose as well. Like the comedy, he brought the comedy, like the heart, like Michael said, and but didn't overdo it. And yeah, I would say Iceman is number one for me.
Oh, that's perfect. Andrew, who are some of your favorite characters out of that first one?
I'm really not going to disagree with the Iceman in comparison.
You guys are both
ultimately,
the Iceman?
He's dope, but he has a cool call name
yeah.
too.
Oh, so you guys were excited when he won the Top Gun School
Oh, yeah.
Award, right? Maverick, I was like, oh,
Then
you
again,
only
I
got
mean,
second.
It's like the heart is Maverick and him kind of going back and forth, and then at the end, that all culminating to
and
something.
and he had a good amount of character development
Yeah.
too. Like I like that like transition from like being like that guy that like kind of everybody hates, and then at the end he learns to respect Maverick as well. So
That
I
is
do
a
like
good
that
point
dynamic.
that you brought. Yeah, that like respect, the rival respect at the very end. It's like, oh yeah, I won, I got first place, but mad respects. Like they just kind of like bow out to each other at the end. So that was really great. Uh, yeah. So those are the main characters we really enjoyed out of that first Top Gun movie. Let's get into our third question here. Our third question is going to be, what are some of our favorite Tom Cruise movies so far? Brad, you've seen a lot of Tom Cruise movies. What are some of your favorites?
I like Tropic Thunder.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if you call it.
And what's the line he says in
Tom
Tropic
Cruise.
Thunder?
Oh, Playa. When he's dancing. I love that part.
Perfect.
Oh, wait. He said something else. I can't remember right now.
Mhm.
And, man, it's been a long time since I've seen a lot of Tom Cruise movies. The first Mission Impossible movie I liked, and, what was it? I was going to say another one. If I think of it, I'll tell you. It's been a while.
Hector, what
The
are...
Firm.
Oh, Firm.
The
Perfect.
Firm.
And then Hector, what are some of your favorites?
Yeah, to me it's the Mission Impossible series as a whole. Like I think he like really puts like his heart into those movies, like with the stunt work and everything like that. And like it's very different from like the rest of the action, like centric movies. But yeah, like everything that he does with his own stunts and all that is like I commend him for that because it's like some crazy
It's like,
stuff.
how are you doing that? And he's still doing it to this day. We
Like,
still got more
the
Mission
thing where he's like
Impossibles
hanging off the
happening.
plane, I was like, no, that's real, and he did that. Like,
And it was real. It was legit.
mhm.
What was your favorite out of the Mission Impossible movies?
MI3 for sure. I would say. But the latest ones have been good too. Like it hasn't like gone downhill or anything. Like he hasn't phoned it in at all.
I still got to marathon that. I'm going to marathon all of them before the next one comes out. Possibly do a ranking with that. Andrew, what is some of your favorites?
Two that come out to the mind off the top: Few Good Men,
Oh, yeah. So
military as
iconic.
well, and then Last Samurai.
Ooh, Last
Ooh,
Samurai. Forgot about
good
that. That's
call.
one of my
That one
favorites.
slipped my mind too. Last Samurai.
That's a
Oh,
classic.
that's such a good movie. When I think Tom Cruise, I think of Legend, his early movie where he's just very young in it. I don't know why I always think of that movie, but a fun little fantasy adventure story there. But if you want to see a movie when Tom Cruise is younger, go check out Legend. You can kind of see how he started out. But yeah, those are the Tom Cruise movies I'm thinking of. And then, of course, we're going to talk more Top Gun. When I hear Tom Cruise, I also think, of course, Top Gun. So that's our third question. Let's get into our fourth question now. So our fourth question, why did they make a Top Gun sequel so late, right? Didn't the first one come out in 80s? So we're now in 2022, everybody. This is like 40 years about later. Why do we think this took such a long process? Because I don't think we've ever seen this before, have we? Where a sequel's come out like
That much.
40 years later? Can anybody think of, has that ever happened? I cannot think of one.
Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Well, that did get a sequel though with Ghostbusters 2, and then of course, yeah,
Maybe
you
a
had a
soft
Ghostbusters.
reboot, but yeah,
But no
Lot of that.
direct
They-
sequel,
yeah,
right?
no direct.
There's been reboots, there's been remakes, but no direct sequel. So I'm just shocked that it took so long. But I'm glad they had that message at the beginning where Tom Cruise basically was talking to the audience that, yeah, he put a lot of time and effort in this. It was decades in the making to make this movie, and it finally got to the screen. But it was totally worth it. To me, it was way worth the wait. Was it worth the wait to you
I
guys?
think that was like
Yeah.
a big reason for how long it took. Is like this is like Tom Cruise's baby. Like I feel like he cares a lot about it, so he wanted to like really, really like develop it and get it right. So yeah, I'm glad that not that it took that long, but I'm like glad it.
But
paid off.
it was so worth the wait, because if it took this long and then it was terrible,
Yeah.
oh my goodness, that would have been the worst case scenario. But it was so good. So worth the wait to you, Andrew?
Oh yeah,
Worth the wait to you,
I
Brad?
didn't notice a wait, but I liked the movie. It was
Oh,
really
yeah.
good.
Yeah, so, and you know what? Another reason I'm trying to think, but that was a good one you brought up, Hector, of Tom Cruise. He wants to get it right. He wants to do a good movie, so it's going to take more time. Because I heard they filmed a lot of extra for this movie just to get all the jet flying sequences just perfect. I think I was hearing they filmed like 800 minutes or something outrageous like that just to put into a 2-hour movie. Well, for us physical media collectors out there, I'm sure the special features will be fantastic with that, so we can look forward to that. But yeah, I'm trying to think other than that, maybe technology-wise,
And
because
the 80s nostalgia too, I think, is like a big on the come up with like Stranger Things and stuff like that. Or, like
yeah,
kind of miss that time period, and like the 90s. So like
that's a good
We're-
point. Or yeah, get the nostalgia feels, right? That's a lot of things are going back to the 80s, like you said, going back to the 90s. Not so. I guess it is the right time to recapture the nostalgia feelings because it's kind of generational, right? So like if parents really like Top Gun, well now they can bring their kids to it, right? And so multi-generations going to see it. So yeah, that definitely could be a reason. Also just improved technology now, improved cameras, improved how they can do things now, right?
Yep.
With all the jets, all the new jets, everything like that. That's pretty interesting. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely worth the wait. Just letting you all know that out there right now. All right, let's get into our fifth question here. Now, we've seen the trailers before we saw this movie. Did the movie live up to the hype of the trailers? To me, it way surpassed the trailers.
I agree with that.
Right? Did it surpass the
When I
trailers?
saw the trailer, I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, cool, a new Top Gun movie." But then this movie is like, well, like way better than I anticipated.
Yeah, they held off some stuff, right? They didn't just give it to us all in the trailer, right? And sometimes movies will do that. They'll give us so much in the trailer, we don't have much to look forward to. All the surprises are gone. No, this movie did not do that at all. They gave us like a little tease, right? Just a little tease, just enough. Give us the flavor, give us the tone of the movie. But there were so many things that happened in this movie, just story-wise, I was not expecting, right? I mean,
Yeah.
just things that came out of nowhere, kind of. Like, oh my goodness. Brad, what were you thinking? Did you ever get a chance to see the trailers, Brad,
I
before
did.
you saw this?
Can't say I did.
No, so you just went in blind, though. So
Yeah.
you were. How did you feel about it, though, just seeing it for the first time, though?
It was good. Like I said, I like the movie.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
So,
like when I saw the trailer, I was actually kind of underwhelmed by the trailer. I don't, not to say that it was like a bad trailer, but maybe it was because I wasn't like that excited to watch the movie. But once I saw like that people were like giving it like really good reviews, that's like kind of like what I
like,
started
that
to get
got you
more
hyped
interested.
up more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a good trailer, but it wasn't like next level. Like, it wasn't like, oh my goodness, this is going to be the best movie of the year from the trailer.
Exactly.
But hey, it got me out to the theater and us out to the theater to see it, so that's a good step in the right direction. All right, let's get into our next question now. Let's get into question 6. So, what were just the best things we got out of the movie that maybe we were looking forward to, we were hoping for, and we actually got that in the movie, or maybe even surpassed what we were looking forward to? I know a big moment for me was the Val Kilmer stuff. So Val Kilmer, I thought maybe we'd just get like a little picture of him, maybe just kind of a call out to Val Kilmer's character, Ice, right? But then we got so much more, and that made for some really heartfelt moments, right? I started tearing up in scenes in this movie. So I thought this movie was going to be enjoyable. I thought it was going to have the action, the scenery, all of that. So I was expecting that, right? But I wasn't expecting the heart and the feels to it and things they brought in that they pulled off with that. That just is what kind of shocked me in the movie. What do you think, Hector?
I thought like the everything with Rooster.
Oh, Russo,
I knew
so
that was
good.
gonna be like a big part of the movie, but I like really like the direction they went with it. It was kind of different from like what the trailer made me expect for that. It was like a really like big emotional thread throughout the movie. And also something that I obviously was looking forward to was like the whole jet fighting. Is like there's not really in a lot of other movies like you get to see that kind of stuff. So it was like really exciting and well done.
Yeah, like all the jet flying sequences, like when you think jet flying sequences, you think Top Gun, but this movie took it up a whole notch. It had so many jet flying sequences in this movie, and you may think, oh, that could get stale just seeing jets flying, right? Especially if you're not like into jets or vehicles or things like that. But it made it fresh every time. It did something different with the jets every single time.
Like how they were filming inside the cockpit. I really like. I
Oh,
thought
yeah.
that was like really
Yeah, that
high
was a good
quality.
one, yeah.
Yeah.
It was so good. Brad, what do you think? Like, what did you really get out of it that maybe you were looking forward to, or something you got that you didn't even expect?
It had a great story. They had a overarching problem to solve, a goal, and but within that, all the characters, a lot of them, you got to know them. Some you liked more than others, but they were all mainly good people. And throughout the movie, they interacted with each other in a way that brought out the best in each other, and they developed.
That's very true. Yeah.
They changed as you watched the movie,
Jennifer Connelly.
and
yeah.
that was really nice.
I'm glad how you brought up the characters, because that was a great part of the movie, because they added in a lot of new characters, right? But they also had some classic characters in there. And when you do that, sometimes it doesn't work, right? Like, you can bring in new characters. Are we going to connect with these new characters? But they all had different personalities. They had character arcs, right? We saw how they got to learn new things. They adapted, they changed. And to me, that made it really more interesting. You were connected. Like, I want each of these characters to, survive. Like, I'm rooting for Bob. Like, come on, Bob, like every single character, and every single character just had a great name, right? Phoenix, Hangman.
I loved Hangman.
Oh, Hangman.
Hangman was like the Iceman, kind of.
Yeah, he was the new Iceman, basically.
He killed it. Like,
oh, he was so good. Oh my goodness. And so Andrew, what did you get out of it that maybe you were expecting or not expecting?
Yeah, because definitely in the first Top Gun, there was really no present threat that was having to be resolved in the movie. It was more just them going to the academy, them trying to see who's the best, and then ultimately there's an action sequence at the end that parses off that. Where with this one, you understand what's going on, you know what the threat is, you see how even they are kind of going to be undergunned for this, and they have to kind of take everything to the next level. Just like, yeah, I mean, the fact that there's just this whole cohesive thing, and then you touch on all the character development, like with Tom Cruise and Penny and all that, and I mean, it's just like it all like just flows like a movie. It doesn't, no part really gets too stale, and yeah, I mean that can be difficult with
And
this kind
like
of a movie.
also like Maverick as a teacher was something that I really enjoyed
That
watching
was so
because he's
good.
like really reluctant to take on that role, but he's like just naturally like really good at it. So
That was so good. Like, and he was kind of hesitant about it, right? Like you're saying, he didn't want to take on that role, but then he ends up being so good at being a teacher. I'm like, oh, if I go to jet flying school, I go to Top Gun, I want him as my teacher. Like how he was able to teach lessons were just so impressive and basically show through examples, right? Like, hey, I want them to have hope and know they can do this mission, so let me do it myself, right? I'm not gonna ask them something I wouldn't be able to do. Let me prove it to them. Let's show it off. Oh gosh, this movie is so good. Yeah, so that's perfect for this question. Let's get into question 7 because we already started kind of mentioning it. What did we think of the cast of this movie? I know we already mentioned some characters here. You guys brought up Jennifer Connelly, right? Because Jennifer Connelly is our new love interest, right? Our replacement here. And I was actually kind of worried with this movie. I'm like, we're not bringing back the same actress. Is this going to work? Is this relationship going to seem like phony or out of place? To me, the relationship did end up working. At first, it took me a little while to buy in, but then I started to get connected with it. And they actually had some good moments and some funny moments too. So there's heartfelt moments, there's funny moments. So I thought Jennifer Connelly definitely worked by the end of this movie, absolutely. But Hector, what were some characters that else and cast members that stood out to you?
all of like the classmates, I guess. Rooster especially,
Oh, yeah.
I really liked him. I think Miles Teller,
Yeah.
great actor, like, and he kills it every time. And he was like a really good like son, like figure esque type character to Maverick. So I really enjoyed him. All the other, yeah, Bob was really funny too. And he's like sarcastic, and um, Phoenix was great too. Oh yeah, basically the whole class.
Yeah, the all the new classmates were perfect, and I'm glad you mentioned a Rooster and Miles Teller again. Miles Teller does a phenomenal job in this role, which we shouldn't have expected anything less. He's always good in movies, and he just did such a great that relationship he had with Maverick that you're mentioning. It was like a dad-son relationship, but then you had all this stuff from the past, the loss of the father.
The tension,
So
yeah.
yeah, it's like so like how do they connect? How do they work as a team? But still have that past history. But somehow they do have an arc with that, and it does pay off by the end. And then so basically, he does become the new wingman of Maverick, which I just thought was brilliant how they did that.
I thought, John Hamm too. Like, I
Oh,
usually don't
yeah.
like that type of character, like the authority figure guy, but
Yeah.
I thought he like brought a lot to that role. Like,
He did it. He was good at being stern, like
Yeah.
you. It's just that. Oh, that was. And then, Brad, what were some of the other casts that you maybe liked? Well, how did Jennifer Connelly work out? Because I know you're usually a Jennifer Connelly fan.
Oh yeah, I think she was great in the movie, and I agree with Hector. All the casting was great. I'm just nothing bad to say about the movie. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I can't think of one actor that was bad in the movie. Like, they were all good. Like, even the new ones you thought maybe hesitant on, like, okay, are they going to be able to be in this big movie? Are they going to do a good job? And they all did such a good job. Andrew, what were some cast members that stood out to you?
Yeah, I mean, like, again, it's all the kind of the same hits, like, with Hangman,
Oh, Hangman,
all
so
that,
good.
was
like,
so good,
And he
and
got
then,
his moment, right?
yeah,
Hangman got his moment at the end,
Uh-huh.
and I was kind of getting worried, right? Like, are they gonna sideline this guy?
yeah,
Were you getting worried
I was
about
getting
that?
a little worried,
They
yeah.
they sidelined him a little bit too much for me. Like, I wish
Oh, so you
it
wanted
was
to
more of a
more?
firefight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted him to get in a firefight or
There were a
something.
lot of the, like, I think it was like 12 candidates. I think we only focused on around 6 of them,
Yeah.
but I mean, still, you obviously don't want to focus on too many characters.
Mhm.
I think the other one that I was kind of looking forward to, but never really went anywhere, but was interesting to be included, was Ed Harris's role with Admiral Kane.
Oh yes, he
Yeah,
was really good too because he brought up that idea of drones and like the future. Like, hey Maverick, you're gonna be out of this game soon. It's and he kind of calls out Maverick too, right? He's like, you should have been a second admiral by now,
yeah,
right? But you're still just a captain. So he like kind of puts it to Maverick at the beginning.
Mhm.
And yeah, so they did kind of sideline his character a little bit. Like he had a good intro, but he didn't play a major part in the
yeah,
movie. So that kind of threw me off a little bit
a
too,
little
I
bit.
think.
Yeah,
Like an actor of his caliber, yeah, I agree.
Oh
yeah.
yeah, but at least they had him in it, and he
Mhm.
did a good job
Mhm.
for the part he had. So all around, just the classic cast they brought back, great job once again. And we got to mention Tom Cruise
Oh yeah,
again. Tom Cruise taking on this role again after so many years later,
still got
but
it.
he still got it, just keeping it fresh, and he does not look his age. I think somebody was saying like he was 60 now, right? Was it?
Something like, yeah, something
He
like that.
does not look 60. Like I don't know, I don't think they did any like deep fake CGI work on him. I just think he's being he himself, which is amazing in this movie. So he does a fantastic job here. He's great doing all his action stunts. Like I still can't believe it. Like how is he flying all these jets? It's so
And
impressive.
he did some solid acting too, like the scene with Val Kilmer with Iceman. I was like,
Oh,
yeah, I was,
that was so
yeah,
heart wrenching. Like he had so many heartfelt moments. He had the Val Kilmer moment. He had the moments with Goose, right? And
Mhm.
well, Rooster. I mean,
Rooster.
sorry, I get them same birds and stuff. I get them mixed up. But with Rooster, that was so many heartfelt moments. Moments with Jennifer Connelly's character, right? Like he had so many good heartfelt moments with so many characters, and you usually don't get that out of a movie, right? A lot
Mhm.
of movies these days will be like, okay, they focus on one relationship and maybe that pays off by the end of it. But you had so many different relationships in this movie, and you're like, oh, it's probably not going to pay off with everyone. They can't hit it all out of the park, right? It's like boom, boom, boom. Every character arc, everybody gets a shiny moment.
I I even like Penny's like her kid daughter. Like
Oh
I thought she was
yeah.
really good too.
Oh, she had a funny moment in the movie too. That was hilarious. Like,
Mhm.
so even the smaller characters, they had some kind of moment, whether it was just like a action moment, shocking moment, or just a moment for humor and comedy. Like how they were able just to plug that in so well and pace throughout the movie, I think
I
really
thought
worked.
the comedy was pretty good too.
It
Like
was
it was very
good.
like not a lot in general, but I thought they chose like really good moments, like
Oh,
when it needed it. Honestly.
yeah, it was perfect because it brought in some levity to it, right? It was like, oh, we got really heart wrenching moments. Maybe we're tearing up, but then I'll get you with a comedic moment. You're like, oh, okay, I can kind of breathe, I can relax. But so it was able to change pace, I think, really well and add in a lot of different dynamics. So that worked really well for me. So this will get us to our eighth question here. Eighth question. Did this movie meet our expectations? I know we kind of already mentioned this a little bit and hint at it. For me, way surpassed my expectations. Like I thought it was going to be a good movie, right? I'm hearing good talks of it. I think it's going to be a solid movie. But this movie is amazing to me. This movie's so good. It is my favorite movie of the year now. It's number one. I'm like, is it going to be everything everywhere all at once? But then once it gets to that heartfelt moment with Val Kilmer's character, and I got teary eyed. I'm like, ooh, you are now number one for me at this moment. And I started to think about it more. Does this make my top list of all time? Right? Whether it's a top 10, a top 20, top 30. I want to get this on my top 30 list. That's how good it was. Because I think a good sign of a good movie, after you watch it, you want to rewatch it again, right? It has that rewatchability factor. And I'm like, you know what? I would be happy to go see this one again, right?
Mhm.
I want to go back and watch this one a whole bunch more times.
Mhm.
And so that's why I was so impressed with it. Hopefully, if I watch it again, it keeps up or it does even better. But Hector, how did it meet your expectations?
Yeah, to me, like way exceeded. Also, like I would definitely say it's better than the first one even. So like one of the few sequels that like surpassed the original in my opinion. And like literally everything that I like, thought it was gonna be, it was just like to a whole nother level, and like from the acting to the story and everything, like better than I expected. Honestly, like.
So how does this rank for you this year? Is this your number one this year? Because I know you were saying you liked everything everywhere all at once.
I definitely liked it better than that. I would have to think about everything else that I've seen, but it's up there, at least top three. Yeah,
Yeah, top. Hey,
definitely.
top three in a year is
Mhm.
really really good because I know you watch your movies, so
Yeah,
that's
we're
perfect.
already like halfway through the year, so like,
I know,
almost.
right?
But yeah, yeah. Definitely.
Oh, so good. Brad, how did it for you? Because you're usually not like a massive fan of sequels, even though there are some sequels you have enjoyed. I know you like Ghostbusters Afterlife, right?
Yep.
So, how did this meet your expectations?
It met my expectations. I was expecting a good movie, and it was a very good movie. Like I said, no complaints. It was a really fun movie.
Oh, that's. Does it make you want to go back and see the original? Because you haven't seen the original yet.
Yeah, I do want to see the original. I wanted to see it before, just haven't gotten to it.
All right. Yeah. Well, that's a good sign. If a sequel makes you want to go back to the original, that always is a good sign. So of course I got the 4K still, but we'll be definitely watching that. Absolutely. Andrew, your expectations. Where does this get ranked for you
I
here?
was actually going really low on expectations, just my nature of how sometimes sequels work. Again, as had been pointed out before, 40 years, not a lot of memorability, at least in terms of like, it's definitely part of pop culture, but not really in, you know, high demand, I would assume, for a Top Gun movie. But then you see this, and Hector said it best. I think it blew past the first movie, even just in terms of the entire scope and how it was handled.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that point. Like, yeah, it is kind of with pop culture, but it's not like one of the big like top five, right? It's not a Marvel movie, it's not a DC movie, it's not a Star Wars movie, right? It's not so it's a name people know, but it's not like everybody knows it, right? You kind of have to ask around to find somebody that knows it. So for them to be able to pull it off and basically, right, meet our expectations or even go way higher for some of us, I mean, that's impressive, right? And between us panel, we have so many different movies we like. We like different things in movies. We're looking for different things. But for us to all come around and be like, hey, this is a thumbs up. This is a good movie to see. That's a good sign because that rarely ever happens out of a group of people. So that's perfect.
And I know like Tom Cruise, like he has like pretty significant star power, so I think he's like a draw for like pretty much any movie. But this one, I think it's like warranted, and like people should definitely go watch this movie. Like, yeah,
I wonder if he'll get any Oscar recognition. Or is he at that caliber in this movie? Ooh.
I believe so, but
You know what? Normally I would be like Tom Cruise. No, I don't think he would be there. But when I think back to all those moments in the movie and how many just conversations and relationships and character arcs he helped other characters go through, and he just knocked all of them out of the park, I'm like, I would consider it. I want to say definitely nominate him. I have to see the rest of the movies for the year, but it's gonna be in the back of my mind. I'm gonna think about it towards the end of the year here. So. Oh, so good. This movie just got to that level for us. And then at our number 9 spot, right? We knew the Rotten Tomato score going into this, right? I believe it was like 97 or 96%. Uh, are we surprised by that score now, right? After seeing the movie? After seeing the movie, no, I'm not surprised.
no, it's
Usually,
definitely fair.
yeah, usually I would be surprised by a score because high 90% are amazing for any movie. That's not like a guaranteed score. Like,
Is that audience score?
no, that critic score.
Critics, yeah.
Critic
Critic.
I'm sure audience is like
Oh,
the same or higher.
because yeah, usually audience is either similar or even higher. So I wonder what the audience is. I'll have to look at that. But for critics to like it, and that's basically saying, well, out of 100 critics, 97 said thumbs up. That's amazing. That's amazing because especially because critics are so diverse and like different things. I mean, it is tough to get that high of a
Especially
level,
for like
right?
an action movie instead of a drama.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, that's right. It's not like a normal Oscar play movie, right? It's not a serious drama. It's action movie, right?
Or more
That-
like a drama to me.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was like half and half.
Times, yeah.
It had the dramatic moments, but and that's probably why it got the critics because I know those critics were tearing up just like me. I know they were doing it, and that probably got them. But that is such an impressive score. So I'm like, there's no way. How can it live up to that high 90%? But after seeing the movie, I'm like, it's tough for me to find anything wrong with this movie. Like, really, when I think about it, and usually when I review a movie, I want to say the good, I want to say the bad. But when I'm like, if I were to make a bad section on this movie, what do I put? Like, what do I put?
I don't know.
I mean, initially
It
I'm
was
like,
too short.
I know, right? We want more of it, and that's a good sign. The only thing I was initially thinking was, maybe the Penny character Jennifer Connelly maybe wasn't the strongest relationship out of the movie, but by the end, I still thought it was solid. I still thought it was good enough with it, and so it won me over by the end. So by the end, I'm like, I can't really think of a major negative at all. It was really good. So this gets us to our 10th question here, our last and final question. Box office. We got to talk about what we think the box office is going to do by the end of this weekend. And we haven't looked up the box office results here, but we're just going to speculate based off of were people hyped for this movie? Were people excited about the movie? Did we see people going into the theater for this movie? Well, we went to Screen X, right?
Mhm.
Okay, in a Regal, and it's a premium theater, right? It's a premium theater. Usually, that doesn't mean everybody's going to go to it, but we had a good size audience. There were seats, sold there, and so at least what 3/4 of the theater was filled,
I would say
maybe.
so. Yeah.
Around,
Yeah, about 3/4, and so that's pretty good. Especially, it's not opening night, right? It's not
Mhm.
opening. We saw
It's
this.
Sunday, so
It's Sunday.
most people, I assume, would have gone like Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, the ones really hyped for it, maybe the Thursday, the Friday, the Saturday. We went on a Sunday, and we didn't even go to an evening showing, right? Evening showing would have probably been more popular. So to be going at kind of a matinee showing and to see there was people in the theater, people excited for the movie, because I heard other people saying things in the movie too, like with excitement or gasping, or just you could feel the vibe and the atmosphere from the audience. Even when we got out of the theater, talking
The fact
about it,
that
right?
People were talking about it like in the bathroom while you're waiting to go to
Yes.
the bathroom. Like that's a good
Talking
sign.
about the movie in the bathroom, you're like, I have to talk about this movie with someone. Like that rarely ever happens, right?
When you have to like talk to a stranger and be like, "Wow,
Yeah,
that was a good movie."
yeah, like a stranger too. Like you gotta be like, what? That was amazing, and so that was so powerful. So I think for box office, I think this could be Tom Cruise's best opening weekend. I think for any movie. I know his Mission Impossible movies have been doing pretty good, right? And they usually do good over a certain amount of time. But I think this movie is going to do really good over time too. I could see this movie. I don't want to say get to 1 billion. I don't think it's going to get to 1 billion. Billion's tough. Billion's tough to join that club. But I think easily over 600 million. Over 600 million.
I could see
Maybe
that, yeah.
maybe pushing 700. Maybe 800. I
'Cause,
mean,
Rotten Tomatoes has a lot of power. Like whether you think that's like a bad or a good thing. Like with everything everywhere all at once. I feel like
that kept
I
that
feel like they
movie
boosted those
going.
sales, like,
Oh yeah, and just all the
significantly.
reviews and everything for that movie, that gave that movie some legs and just kept going and going. And that movie is still in theaters. So if the word keeps spreading about this movie, more and more people are going to go see it. I can see it having some serious legs. The only thing I could see it, being cut off at is if they want to, drop it on streaming, drop it to Paramount. I think it at least has a 45-day window, which is still pretty good nowadays because some movies, they're out after a couple weeks. So I think this movie can make some good money in those 45 days. And I'm telling you all, you gotta see this movie on the big screen, right?
Oh,
Like
yeah. Especially like a cool
premium theater, right?
yeah.
Yeah, the Screen X experience. So let's talk about that experience a little bit real quick because I don't think I've ever mentioned that experience
I
before.
hadn't seen it before. Yeah.
I really like that experience. Like 270 degrees immersion. You got projectors on the side. So for a lot of the scenes in the movie, you basically feel like you're up in the clouds, right? You're in the jet. And to me, that was a lot of fun. And the speakers were great too in the theater. You could feel like when the jets turned on, like it was just pumping up. The score sounded fantastic. So definitely go to a theater with really good speakers. I say that's key. Good speakers, but any premium screen. But yeah, I really like Screen X. Did it with No Way Home. I did it with Uncharted. But I think this is probably the best experience I had with it because it's for a lot of scenes and it just works so perfectly like when you're in the clouds basically. So Hector, that was your first experience with Screen X. What did you think of it?
Yeah, I think it's definitely worth it to watch it like that or IMAX, something with like a big nice screen because the scenery and like everything the images on here are like really nice.
I'm glad you mentioned the scenery, the cinematography, the landscapes, those wide shots. Like, oh, you cannot fake that. That was not green
Yeah,
screen.
they
that
filmed in some
was
beautiful places.
oh, it was gorgeous, and so many different weather conditions. Right,
Yeah.
we even got the snow. Oh, it was gorgeous to look at. Brad, that was your first experience with
Mhm.
Green X. What'd you feel about that? Because I know sometimes these things can be gimmicky. Did you think it worked for you, or would you been okay with a standard screen?
Yeah, standard screen would be fine. I think it's kind of gimmicky. It's not for me, but just like you said, being in a theater adds to the experience for sure. And so, and especially with this, with the flying, especially, it makes it better. And it was a really fun movie.
Oh yeah, and we had a good crowd too. People were definitely reacting to the movie, especially afterwards, right? Andrew, what did you think of the Screen X there?
Yeah, I mean, it was a good experience. I mean, is it mandatory? No. I mean, I would honestly even kick up the speaker volume a bit more.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I agree with that. For me, the sound's more important generally than some extra visuals. And
Yeah.
a very good sound, I think, adds a lot to a movie.
Oh yeah, the sound is key. So, usually IMAX theaters have really good sound. Like the Dolby Prime theaters, those are really good sound. Yeah, so anything you can get good sound in, I would say is a must, especially just to hear the jet engines. And so, basically, to kind of cap off this question here, we're talking about box office. So my guess, opening weekend. Now that I've seen the movie and seen kind of the crowds out there, I will go because I was originally predicting anywhere from like 60, 100 million tops, but I don't think it's going to get to 100 millions. I'll go optimistic, and I can't wait to check the score after this in terms of how much it got. I'm going to project 80 million. I think 80 million opening weekend, and I think box office globally over the long run, I will go at least 600 million. I feel good about 600 million, but I would be happy if it got to 700.
What's your cap?
I would not go more than 800 globally. And I think the Batman got around, I think Batman got around 700 something, I want to say. I don't think it's going to be Batman though, so I don't want to go
Yeah, me
800. Maybe 700. Yeah, maybe 700 to be tops. But I think 600. If it did
Yeah,
600, that would be
550, 500,
impressive.
yeah.
Yeah, that would be. So Hector, what are you thinking for the
Yeah,
numbers?
probably 550, 500 overall. I would
That
say.
and they would be super happy with that. That's a great number. Oh yeah, that would be so good. What do you think,
I
Brad?
know nothing of these numbers.
Oh,
I couldn't.
you're my number guy.
I can't make an
Brad.
educated guess. I don't pay attention to these things.
No worries, no worries. Andrew, what do you think?
I'm gonna go 900.
900, better than the
I
Batman.
think
They don't have
Ooh.
any like real competition until like when like Thor or something.
maybe Jurassic.
What,
No, Jurassic.
Jurassic,
Oh.
yeah, Jurassic is the one
That's
that,
the big one.
and Jurassic's gonna be like over 1 billion. We already know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no competition right now for at least this
mean,
week, 2 weeks. I mean, you're gonna go see Bob's Burgers? No, probably not.
Well, again, Memorial Day weekend, so I think people
That's
have
true.
more time. So they're gonna find more excuses to go to the movies this
Uh,
weekend. And
Must be something wrong with me.
Oh,
I-
you
I
go to
saw-
Bob's Burgers?
I saw Aqua Teen Hunger Force the movie in theaters.
Ooh.
I mean, I get a kick out of that
Yeah.
stuff.
I still probably will go see Bob's Burgers. Everybody, I'll get you a quick out of the theater reaction. I'll go for it. But yeah, I'm glad we did choose this one to see. But yeah, this does it for our 10 questions right here. And yeah, you guys know, make sure you leave a comment below. What did you think of this movie now that you've seen it? Did it meet your expectations? What were your favorite parts? What were your favorite characters, favorite scenes? Definitely leave those comments below so we can have a great discussion below, of course. And also, if you guys are just discovering the channel, you want to subscribe right now. That way I can get you more post-game shows, pre-game shows, movie reviews, movie rankings, movie news rounded up weekly, all that great movie content for you all. And so we'll kind of sign off here. So I'm Mega Mike the Movie Man.
Hector.
Brad.
Andrew.
All right, and that will do it for our post-game show today. So just remember, everybody out there, make every day a movie day.